Hello everyone, my name is Keann Jumalon. I will be the one leading you to this video of our finals project. So the name of our finals project is called IDE RPG, in which throughout this video, we will be leading you through our output, concept, and program code. This video and the project itself cannot be made without our responsible members, Keann Jumalon, Eliakem Almadin, Crischan Larita, and Trizzia Lerry Primacio.
Concept. When experiencing a modern venture of a few complexity, it is critical to do a few conceptualizing approximately what your program will do and how you'll actualize it. Whereas, which will sound horrendously self-evident, it is regularly enticing to hop right into coding and execute thoughts as they pop into your head. It isn't until the code gets to be hundreds of lines long does it gotten to be clear that organizing your contemplations is vital. The initial conceptualizing stage takes the most thought, an RPG in this case, and breaks it down into more rudimentary pieces. For each component, we either break it down into still littler components or provide a brief rundown of how we might actualize it. In a commercial environment, this conceptualizing session produces a determination document. At the heart of each RPG, we have players. In this IDE RPG game, players should have stats, input their names, be able to interact with each other. Example is talking, fighting. Be able to choose among the choices, and lastly, be able to show their abilities. For the stats, easy, just a variable telling us what the stat is for, like health, and containing an integer value. For names, just a character that would set the player's name. Talking, to facilitate conversation. The dialogue could be stored with the third-person character or the person with whom the main character will interact, and in the case of the latter, must be accessible by the main character. For fighting, a function that when given a player to attack, initiates a battle sequence that persists until a player's health is reduced to 0. Choose. To choose among the given choices of what would the player want to initiate. Show their abilities in the way that they are able to defeat their opponent by choosing the right execution to defeat their opponent. This preparatory determination acts as a diagram for another stage, the actual coding portion. Presently, that we've broken the most idea into littler components, we will focus on relevant matters that enable these things. As a case, we'll execute the player and player capacities within the fundamental record for testing. Once we're positive that our code is working appropriately, able to migrate our data types and capacities into a header file, which will call at whatever point we need to make and control players. Doing this will essentially diminish the sum of code to see within the fundamental record, and keeping player capacities within the player header record will grant us a consistent put to explore for, include, expel, and progress player capacities.
To start with our program code, we listed a function calling and an array to hold enough characters. To run and start the game, you will be asked to either type 1 to start or 2 to immediately quit and exit the game. If you choose to type 1, you will then be directed to the tutorial part of the game. The narrator will then welcome you and asks your name with a system reminder to have 30 characters as a limit, followed by asking what brought you to this game. To answer this question, you are given three choices in a if-else-if ladder, with 1 saying to test this world and its code, 2 to learn this realm's history and its secrets, 3 with I don't know or IDK, my friend told me to run this code. If you choose 1, the narrator will reply with you looking for a good test or skill. Else, if you choose 2, then the narrator will reply with you having a thirst for knowledge and seeking to quench it. Else, if you type in 3, it will just say that you having that as your reason to run and try this code is as good as any other reasons. But if you type in a number other than those 3, it will say that you're a rule breaker. To officially start the tutorial, it will begin with testing your prowess and have you in a battle against a dummy. With you suffering in bruises from the dummy, the narrator will present you to the campfire. Standing near the campfire will heal you, but if you don't, you'll remain in the same state you are in which the codes used in this will be discussed by my other groupmate. After that, you will be introduced to another opponent, namely the slime, which is slightly stronger than the dummy, that you can't beat it in normal ways. So you'll be granted a choice whether to boost your attack or boost your HP to its maximum level. Typing 1 will increase your attack by 5, but typing 2 will increase your HP to its maximum. With either choice you make, gives you a better chance to beat the slime. But you, becoming more beaten up, you will then be again granted to use the campfire. After the fight, since the narrator can teach you everything you need to know, you will be implanted a system to guide you further. You will then be directed to the grassland and bid goodbye to the narrator with these choices in if-else-if ladder again. With the first choice of you thanking the narrator for everything, second choice is you saying you'll see each other again soon, and third choice with the user replying, quote unquote, you call my man. If the user still type in a choice other than those 3, the narrator will call him or her a rule breaker. And that concludes the tutorial world part of this code.
Good day everyone, I'm going to explain the battle dummy function. After in tutorial world function, where the user done typing their names and choosing between the choices, they will be going to direct in the battle dummy function wherein dito na mag-battle ang user o ang dummy. Inside the battle dummy function, we call the user global status function and dummy functions, wherein user global status function, dito nakabutang ang status sa user, kung pila yung HP, attack, max HP, heal amount, and campfire. Same as sa dummy status function, dito nakabutang ang status sa dummy kung pila yung HP, max HP, as well its name, which is dummy. We use while loop for executing the battle dummy function until one of the player will win or lose. Nami pan-declare statements which will print the status of dummy and the player. We use %s and %d to scan the character value and the number value. We also declare of choices of actions where the player required to choose one of the selection. So when the player chooses one, which is action, which is attack, n_hp is equals to n_hp minus as_attack, in which the dummy HP value will reduce by the player attack value and print you dealt %t to %s. After this, turn na po sa dummy nga mo-launch og attack sa player. So, as_hp minus n_hp ATK, which the player HP value will reduce by the attack value sa dummy. So maminusan ang kuan ang HP sa player by the dummy attack value. Else if the player choose action 2, which is heal, it will going to check if the player HP value is greater than or equal to max HP. It will print you are in max HP. Else if the player HP value is less than max HP, maadan siya og heal amount and print you have healed by %D and %S launch an attack dealing %D damage. So maadan kung mag-heal ka then imuhang HP kay nag-equal lang siya sa max HP, it will going to print you are in max HP. But then kung ang imuhang HP status is less than max HP, it will add as heal amount value. Else if the player choose action 3, which is status, it will basically print and display the attack status. Else if the player choose action 4, which is block, it will print you have block %S incoming attack. So wala siya action nga mabuhat kaya wala man mag-declare og statement nga mo launch og attack ang dummy. Else if the user input beyond the choices, it will going to print you have stood still and thus giving %S a chance to attack, dealing %D damage, and as _HP reduced by n_ATK. So if ever nga mo input ang player beyond the choices, for example ma-enter siya og 5, which is wala sa choices, mo print siya og you have stood still and thus giving the chance dummy to attack dealing %D damage. So ang iyang buhaton maminusan ang HP sa player sa attack value sa dummy. And if the as_HP is equal to 0, it will print %S dumb to be defeated by %S I am shameful. So if ever nga kung ang player HP value will mahimo siyang 0, mo print siya og damn, which mean nga napildi ang player, mo print siya og damn to be defeated by %S I am shameful. Else kung ang dami mga pildi, it will going to print you standing against me is an insult. Dayon maplasan iya and then mo to siya end sa battle, then maplasan ang attack sa player, maplasan ang HP by 5, maplasan ang max HP og 5. And this ends the battle dummy function. Explain the battle slime function. So inside the battle slime function, we call the slime status function, which we declare in the upper part of this battle slime function. Unlike in the battle dummy function, battle slime function has more value in terms of HP, attack, max HP, and has different character name. Other than that, their execution was all the same from battle dummy function, wherein we use while loop for executing the battle slime function until one of the player will win or lose. We also declare a statement which will print the status of slime and the player. We use %S and %D to scan the character value of the number value. There are also statements of choices which will the player will choose. Same as explanations of choices in the battle dummy function. When the player chooses action 1, which is attack, it will going to the player HP value will going to reduce by the attack value of the slime, and it will print you dealt %D to %S, and after this turn na pud sa slime nga mo launch og attack. So ang player HP will reduce by the slime attack value. Else the player will choose action 2, which is heal. It will going to check if the player HP value is greater than or equal to max HP. So if ang HP value sa player is equal to max HP, mo print siya og you are in max HP. Else if the player HP value is less than max HP, it will add heal amount and print you have healed by %D and %S launch an attack dealing %D damage. Else if the player choose action 3, which is if the player choose action 3, which is status, it will basically print and display the attack status. So mura gyapon siya mag-display lang, it mo print lang siya og attack status. Else if the player choose action 4, which is block, it will print you have blocked %S incoming attack. So wala action nga mabuhat ang dami kay wala mo declare o statement nga mo launch og attack ang dami. So simple lang kung mo kuan siya, kung ang user mo, kung ang player mo input og 4, it will just basically print you have blocked %S incoming attack until so dira lang na human ang mga choices of action. So else kung if the player HP is equal to 0, it will print %S damn to be defeated by %S I am shameful. Else it will going to print %S %S you standing against me is an insult. So ang pasabot ani ka kung ang player HP value is equal to 0, which is kanang marami bitaw mapildi bitaw siya sa slime, mo print siya og damn to be defeated by %S I am shameful. Else kung ang slime mo'y mapildi, it will going to print %S you standing against me is an insult. So dira lang siya dira lang human ang battle niya until nga ang one of the player will win or lose. So after ana magkuan lang dayon, mag-plus og attack by 3, mag-increase og HP by 5 and increase max HP by 5.
So int the planes world dialog. So int dialog choice. So print %S has arrived at the planes, then the username. Print %S, you look around the barren plains, then the username. Then print %S in the far right, you see a robman taking a rest, then the username. Then print %S in the far left, you see the planes distorting as if merging and demerging at the same time, then the username. Then print in front of you, a few distance away, you can see a silhouette moving side to side, making it hard to see what it is, then the username. Then print you ponder as to what decision to make, then the username. Then print system, please make this decision. So here print 1 walk to the right, print 2 walk to the left, print 3 walk to the front, then scan. And then if the user choose choice 1, so it print you walk to the right. Print as you approach the man closer, you notice details that you couldn't make out. Then print %S, you get closer, the robman awakens, then the username. Print who are ya, the robman pulls out a knife, then the username. Print yeah, there to sneak up on a bandit, guts balls, kids but not enough to make you come out alive. Then print first bandit initiates you in battle, then the username. So battle is ban. Printf, what is this thing? You examine the variable event closely in the username. Printf, I guess I'll never knew from. So as you arrive at the plains, you have to make a decision whether to walk to the right, to walk to the left, or walk to the front. So if the yellow choice is equal to 1, then print you walk to the right. So here you can see a man arresting bandit in the right. Then else if the yellow choice is equal to 2, so print you walk to the left. As you keep getting closer to the distortion, you feel a great uneasiness. Then print, and then an instant the world became bleak. Then print your presence important, the username. Then print your existence insignificant in the username. Then print if in front of you stood an unknown being. Print pitiful, you have only begun and yet you have already ended the username. Then print the known being brings you in the battle. So else if the yellow choice is equal to 3, so you print you walk straight. Then the username. Print as you get closer to the moving silhouette, you understood what it was in the username. Print the moment when you see the silhouette clearly, it was just simply a rabbit. Print not a moment after that the rabbit scuttled away quickly than the username. Print if leaving you to the winds, but this time you see a road farther in the distance. You run to the roads, and this time you have a choice of either going east or west in the username. So print, please make the decision. So print 1, walk to the east. Print 2, walk to the west. So if the yellow choice is equal to 1, then you walk to the east. Print the far winds greet you with a scent of oil and iron, then the username. Then print chapter 1, a hello to the world, and then print chapter 2, the east path, the city of innovation coming soon. Else if the yellow is equal to 2, print you walk to the west. Print a chilling wind breezes past you, then this username. Then print chapter 1, a hello to the world, and then print chapter 2, the west path, O mountain of ice and scene coming soon. Else print if you defied fate and choose straight, then the username. Print a dense jungle greeted you with cries of beasts lurking in the shadows, and the username. Then print chapter 1, a hello to the world, and then print chapter 2, the straight path, the lady of secrets and greed coming soon. Else print if you look behind you, then the username. Print if the seaplanes but a voice calls you bidding you to come, then the username. Print chapter 1, a hello to the world, and then print chapter 2, the desert path, the sun and their followers coming soon. Print you walk away from the campfire, then the username.
So I'm back again with another bottle function explanation. This time I'm going to explain the bottle response function. This will prompt up when the player chooses 1, which is walk to the right. Same as the previous explanation of other bottle function, it's just that this bottle response function has a higher value in terms of HP, attack, and max HP. We also use looping and declare statements that will prompt up when the function is called. There are still choices that users need to be choose, same as sa previous nga akong explanation, that when the player chooses 1, which is attack, it will going to reduce the resting bandit HP by the player attack value. By the way, resting bandit is the name of the opponent which we declare in this function. Else when the player chooses 2, which is heal, it will going to add heal amount when the HP value is less than player max HP value. Else it will print you are in max HP. So mura gyapon to kung ang HP value sa player is equal to max HP, it will going to print you are in max HP. But then kung ang player HP value is less than sa max HP, it will going to add heal amount. So when the player choose action 3, which is status, it will just simply print and display status and attack status. And if the player choose action 4, which is block, it will just print you have block % as incoming attack. Else, when the player input beyond the choices, it will print you have stood still and thus giving %s a chance to attack, dealing % damage, and reduce the player HP by subtracting resting bandit attack. After and if the player HP value is equal to 0, it will print them to be defeated by %s I am shameful. After that, na siya mo print yung statement which is silbi nga morong point of view sa resting bandit. Mana siya nga, that's what you get for messing with me, the resting bandit. Then in fear of any witnesses run away and in the middle of them fleeing. A pouch has been dropped. Person as curious, you pick up the pouch and upon observation it contained an unknown jewel imitating a strange glow. So muna siya ang mo-print kung ang player mapildi sa resting bandit. Else if kung ang kung ang resting bandit mapildi sa player, it will going to print %as you standing against me is an insult. And na po siya mo print yung statement nga kuan kanang more siya na ang kanang side sa resting bandit nga mo okay mo ana siya nga okay I stop, I give up. Then the resting bandit run away and in the middle of them fleeing. A pouch has been dropped. Curious, you pick up the pouch and upon observation it contained an unknown jewel and imitating a strange glow, and as if the resting bandit stating his side. Okay, so this ends the resting bandit function.
Hello guys, I am back again with another battle function explanation, and this time I am going to explain the battle unknown function, which will prompt up when the player input to which is walk to the left. Unknown battle function is way difficult to defeat because it has a huge amount of HP, max HP and attack. This is the big boss in this battle. We decided to be like this to be a challenge for every user to choose wisely in every action that they input. So inside the battle unknown function we call another function which is the unknown status, wherein it was declared there the value of battle unknown in terms of its HP, max, HP, and attack. Same for the explanation for other battle function we use while loop to execute the code. There are also still print statement that will output the choices of action. Same to the previous battle function. So when the player choose action 1, the unknown battle HP value will reduce by the player attack value. And print you dealt %d to %s and %s, futile. Else when the player select action 2, which is heal, it will going to print %s, your fate in this life, is sealed. Else when the player select action 3, which is status, it will going to print %s, think not of your mistakes, but pray you will never make them again. Else when the player select action 4, which is block, it will going to print %s, the end is nigh, accept it, and run from it. Else when the player input a number beyond the selection, it will going to subtract the unknown battle attack value by the player HP value and print %s stealth, %d damage, and %s is dead. For this part we use looping to print the statements multiple times. And this ends the unknown battle function. Thank you for listening and I hope I delivered nice.
Hello everyone. So throughout the explanation of our program code in this video, we can observe that in the larger functions, there are minor functions involved in its mechanisms. To start off, one of the minor functions, namely CF healing, is responsible for the user's regenerative properties of their HP outside of the battle functions, in which the user will have an additive effects or an additive value of 1 to the user HP until the user HP will be equals to the maximum user HP. And then moving after that is functions that merely contain values of the variables, namely the user underscore global status is a function that contains the user's HP variable as well as its value, the attack, maximum HP, and the heal amount that can be done. The user global status function and the variables it has as well as the value can mostly change by the amount that the user has entered battle. And then there are the variables or the functions that contain the enemy for the battle functions itself, starting with the dummy underscore status, in which it contains the HP, attack, and maximum HP, but it also contains the use or the enemy's name or the character name they have, and that is also the same thing that has been done with the slime underscore status functions, which is also a variable value holder, and as well as the resting bandit status or rest band underscore status. And that also applies to the unknown status, but unlike the other previous three mentioned, the unknown status has an equal amount of HP, attack, and maximum HP, which is equals to 999,999 value. And that is it for the explanation of the minor statuses. Hello everyone, so this is a demonstration on how our program code operates. So starting off, we are at the main function in which our reporter Trizzia Lerry has explained. So from what we hear from her, pressing 1 or inputting 1 will start the game and inputting 2 will quit the game. So rather than inputting 2, we will start with inputting 1. In here, this is the narration, or this is the dialogue spoken by the narrator, in which the system asks us to input our name. And then after that, the narrator will push us into a conversation in which here we have 3 choices and a 1 hidden option. So in here you can see either to test this world and its code, to learn this realm's history and its secrets, or the Mimish option. But there is also a secret option which we'll choose in here. Before we continue, we are going to be called a rule breaker, and then after that, the narrator will begin us to our first battle against the dummy. In here, we start by seeing the battle functions itself explained by Crischan Larita. So here we can see the dummy HP, my HP, and our selection of actions, starting with attack, in which we have dealt 2 damage, resulting the dummy having only 8 out of 10 HP. And then we can heal for 2 points, and thus we will result back to full health, and when trying to heal again, we can't overheal because we are on max HP and still leaving the dummy to deal damage against us. And then when we use 3, we can check our status, in which it displays our attack status. And then block, in which we negate or we don't do the mechanism in which the dummy deals damage. So then there's also the hidden option, in which pressing any number not within 1, 2, 3, and 4 will result into the dummy directly attacking us. So in here we'll try to defeat the dummy, and yeah, and we may not see it here, but we did have gained increase in our stats from HP, maximum HP, and our attack. And in here we can see that we have 1, and this is our winning dialogue, and the narrator tells us victory and defeat are both good teachers for beginners. And then after that, we are given another choice, either to stand near the campfire or away from the campfire. We'll be choosing 1 so that we can stand near the campfire, and we can also see the CF healing function, in which here we can see before the CF healing we know that our health is at 9, but it's also been added due to the stat boost. And then this is our HP after we have run through the CF healing or the for loop function within the CF healing function itself. And then we are going to continue upon the dialogues. In here, we are given an option to whether increase our attack or increase our maximum HP. I'll be choosing increasing our maximum attack. And after increasing our maximum attack, we will be then plunged into the slime battle function, in which the same thing happens from the battle dummy function, except the slime has higher stats than the dummy itself. So here we will try to win again. Then that happened fast. So then after that, the same winning dialogue happens, and the narrator will say that we have become more beaten up. Thus, we will use the campfire function again. So in here, we may not see it here, but in the tutorial world, this is where we currently are at. This is where we have been felt up to the dummy function. After that, that was the last part of the tutorial world battle, and then we are going to be saying goodbyes to the narrator, in which we are given 3 options and again 1 hidden option, in which I'll be choosing 1 this time. After that, we give our thanks to the narrator, and then we hop into the strange door. And while upon that was happening, the narrator has given us the system as a character to help us navigate through the second world. So after that, we have come upon the planes function or the planes dialogue function, but we can also see it as we have come to the planes world. In here, we look around, and from the narration, we can see that in the far right, we see a robed man. In the far left, we see the planes distorting, merging and demerging at the same time. And looking in front, a few distance away, we can see a silhouette moving side to side, thus making it harder to see or understand what it is. And thus, we are now pondering on what decision to make. So the system asks us to make the decision. We have 3 options, and again, a 4th option. Now, this is where we are introduced to endings, and I'll first start off with the most closest ending I can get to, the path of the hidden option, in which where we look behind and see the plains, but where a voice calls us begging to come, in which chapter 1 ends, and potentially a chapter 2 starts, titled The Sun and Their Followers. So then we run the code again to see the other endings. So now we are in here. Last time what we did is we chose to go to the hidden option, or we look behind us. Now we are going to the second option, because in here we are going to be introduced to a certain battle function. So this is where we have made our decision, and this is where the whole dialogue starts. So don't mind the number 1 because that's what we have named ourselves. So here it started here, sorry. So here we walk to the left, and we kept getting closer to the distortion, and where we feel a great uneasiness. In here, our presence feel unimportant and our existence insignificant. Now anyway, this is not meant to offend somebody. This is only meant to solidify or to give an eerie feeling of what we are about to fight. And in front of us stood an unknown being. His name is being put into question marks, saying pitiful, for we have only yet begun, and yet we have already ended. Sorry for the background noises. So I apologize for the background noises again. And here we can see the unknown being brings us to battle, in which we have started here. Now this is the unknown being from the battle function unknown with the unknown status function. So in here we know that this being's or unknown being's health is high, very high, and also has very high attack. And in here we can see that our options are changed to rather just narrations or dialogues in here. Choosing one, the unknown being will say futile, but will also deal 13 damage. Choosing two, on the other hand, will make the unknown being say our fate in this life is sealed. Choosing number three will make the unknown being say think not of our mistakes, but pray that we will never make them again. And choosing number four will make the unknown being say the end is nigh, accept it, and run from it. And after doing all of that, and if you still have not yet made the hidden option or the option not within these four, he will deal damage to us. These unknown dealt 999 damage, and this one is dead. The repeating for loop sequence, we did this so that it could give the atmosphere of we have been defeated. It is a complete and bad ending. So yeah, that is two out of the four endings, if I am correct. So then after that, we have done the walking to the left and then looking behind option or the hidden option. Now why don't we try the number one option? So in here, this is where the dialogue starts, where we walk right, and as we approach the robed man closer, we notice details that we can't make out. And then as we got closer, the robed man awakens. Him saying, who are we? And then pulling out a knife, and him threatening us to the reason that we have sneaking up on him for him being a bandit, and commending us for our bravery, but not enough to make us think that we can come out alive. And thus the resting bandit initiates us into battle. In here, we can see the usual battle functions, and it will initiate the same as always, in which the only difference is the winning dialogue. In here, most of the time, the only thing we can see in the winning dialogue is a one line of dialogue in which we underestimate the opponents, I guess. So in here, we see the resting bandit begging to stop, and then him running away, and while in the middle of running away, a pouch has been dropped. Now this is where the battle function stops, and this is where the tutorial or the plains world function continues for the dialogue. So us being curious, we picked up and observed the jewel, and being curious on what that thing is, and for the current time we will never know, and then making us journey further down to the right, thus ending chapter 1 and seeing the third ending, the 3 out of 7 endings, I think. Yeah, I'm sorry. Which is titled Island of the Damned. So after that, the last direction we have not yet headed is up the front, in where we have 3 endings in it. So as we walk to the front, anyway, this is where the dialogue begins. So as we walk to the front or we walk straight, we got closer to the moving silhouette, only for it to be a rabbit moving side to side. And the rabbit left after we have noticed its presence, or after the rabbit have noticed our presence completely. And but due to this, we see a road and a sign, and we run towards it. And the sign, or wait, no, there's no sign. I'm sorry. So as we head to the road, we are given the decision to either walk to the west or to the east. So, oh yeah, and there's also a hidden option in this. So first we'll walk to the east. So this is one of the many endings named the City of Innovation. I'm so sorry if this is taking so long. Then we walk to the west. Here we see the other ending, O Mountain of Ice and Sin, and the last ending that we have not yet tackled. So the last ending we have not seen for the straight route is the hidden option, in which here it is named the Lady of Secrets and Greed. So yeah, that is the live demonstration of our program code. And if you do have questions about the whole report, not only from the output or live demonstration seen here, but also to the concept and the program code itself, if you have questions, please do not be afraid to ask in the comment section, for I will be posting this in YouTube. And if you do like to see, and if you would like to, or if you would like to request me for a certain kind of code, or if you want me to code something, then please do share it in the comments. And so yeah, that is it, and it ends this whole report of our group. So on behalf of me, Keann Jumalon, Crischan Larita, Trizzia, Lerry, Primacio, and Eliakem Almadin, we thank you for listening thus far. Hehe.